someone asked, this is a segment of the show that we want to show some of the work that the people of Yahweh has done before our time. And it may not be somebody that's vastly known. And today I'd like to talk about Adoniram Judson. Now, who was Adoniram Judson? He was a missionary who went to Burma, and he served there in Burma for 40 years. He went in 1813 at the age of 25 with his wife Anne. And he and his wife Anne were gifted linguists. So they learned to speak Burmese, and then he spent years studying the structure of the language. But his ultimate goal was to translate an entire Bible into Burmese, because he believed that was his first priority as a missionary, was to get the Bible in the hands of the reading people in their language. So he went there 28, and let's see, his first convert was a 35-year-old laborer. And he had, Adoniram Judson had learned to kind of work within the culture. And he erected what's called a zayat. It was a small open-air hut building, and he had it on the main road. And he would sit on mats outside and listen to, people would listen to different teachers, the Buddhist teachers. So he started doing, he erected that little zayat out there, and then he would stand out there and holler, anyone that thirsts for knowledge, anyone thirsts for knowledge. And that's how he preached, And actually, when the missionaries that came after him came to Burma, that's what they did. They would use the zayats as a means of evangelism for that. But he really had an interesting life. And I'll tell you, people give up a lot of things or go through a lot of trials and testings for their faith. And Adoniram and his wife were no different than that. He had gone to the emperor to try to influence him to grant a religious toleration so that Christianity could go forth. And right after he arrived there in the capital, a war broke out in that region between the British. And of course, all English-speaking foreigners were regarded as spies. So he was arrested, and he was thrown into actually a death camp. And he was in there for 17 months. And they'd had forced marches and things like that. And the only reason he survived was because of his wife Anne's efforts trying to get him out. And at that time, she was pregnant with her third child. But she would bring him food and clothing and bribe the guards to make his life better. And she really worked to get him out. And she actually sneaked in his Bible translation into prison so he could continue working on it. And all of this actually proved too much for Anne, and she died from all the stress and strain on it. But and they said Adoniram's faith sustained him the whole time while he was there, and he threw himself into the task that he believed God had called him to do. And he did get finished with the Bible translation into the Burmese language, and today they still have that Bible. They still have that translation. That's what they use over there. So there's a lot more about his life. He married another lady, and they had 3 children, and she died. And those were tough times. They didn't have a lot of the conveniences and the things we have today. But it's a story of a man who was really dedicated to what he believed God called him to do. And he is known as a man who gave the Bible to the Burmese. So I think that's a very interesting life. And I don't know, I don't think a lot of people even know about him, yet he's known of God. And I think that's what the thrust of this show is to just mention some of the believers who's gone before, because it encourages us. These things encourage us of what other people have gone through, and we know we're not the only one. And what is the bottom line? We want to be faithful to what Yahweh has called us to do. So this was a man who was faithful to what Yahweh called him to do, and because of that, the Burmese have a Bible that they can read in their own language. So he paved the way for that. Thank y'all for joining me on the Kingdom Chronicles. And I didn't know if Sandy or Mark has any comments on that. Or
Well, I will say this, that Yah wants to use all of us. And when we have a passion, when he's given us a vision and we carry that and we have a passion for it, we're not going to let the times get us down. And then I think about the obstacles we have today, doing the particular ministries that we have. And I guarantee we all have them, but it's a testimony to us that we need to push through that and know that he's going to make a way. We can't be people that just give up when hard times hit and when the price seems too high, because this man and his wife were willing to lay down their lives so that the people of Burma would have the word. And it is always said that we're not going to know the people's lives we affected until we see Yeshua. And for Adoniram, he's not going to know. I mean, he may now, but all the lives that he has touched, a whole nation, because of what he was willing to give up, a lifestyle he was willing to forego, and because the passion for the word and the passion for those people reigned supreme in him. Because when you have that driving force, you don't want one of them to not know about Yeshua or Jesus or whatever. You want them to know what you know, so that they have life that goes beyond this earthly grave. And it's just a great testimony.
Amen. Mark, any comments? Or
well, I don't know about this guy. I mean, I'm like everybody else. I'm just learning, what you brought forth, which is really cool. But I think this is actually a great idea for bringing forth these things, because there are so many people through history that have done what you're talking about. I mean, in a lot of different ways. I mean, we have the Bible. The Bible itself is full of Kingdom Chronicles. I mean, I was thinking while you were saying that, it's like the Bible could be parenthetically called Kingdom Chronicles, because that's what it's just full of stories. But then, and what is it at the end of Deuteronomy that said, or is it the end of Revelations that says, if we were to put everything that happened into the book, it would be volume upon, there'd be too many volumes to actually create. And it's the same as since, what has happened with Yeshua in the book of Acts, and how that finishes off those chronicles. I mean, there's been volumes and volumes of different people that haven't been written. I mean, volumes that haven't been written about all the different people that are doing what you're talking about. And I think it's just absolutely awesome. And people don't know. I think of myself every once in a while, and I'm not trying to bring myself out here, but I so hope that when I get to the kingdom, that the Lord will acknowledge the work I did with the network, even though it's not my purpose to be recognized at all, or even on the day of judgment, though we all should be wanting to be recognized on the day of judgment as having done good things for the kingdom. I think quite often about how I hope all the work we're doing on the Lamb Network, and you know what? Right now, we're going into our 10th year. right now we have done 9 years of preaching the word through the Lamb Network. And we're going into our 10th year. And so I can only hope that, someday, hey, in 30 years, they might be writing Kingdom Chronicles about the Lamb Network. I don't know. I'm hoping it's the Lamb Network in 30 years. But, I think it's a great idea. I think it's I like it because I didn't come up with it, and so I think it's really cool. And I'm sure that I have a few that I can bring up and probably do episodes on our, Kingdom Chronicles about other people that I know of. And so this is really good. I like this a lot. I really do. I like this a lot.
Well, I think you like history too, like I do.
Yeah,
I think Sandy does too. So, and it's good to know those who have gone before us,
Right.
and you've got all these big names out there, but, I think if we took a poll, who had ever heard of Adoniram Judson, yet God recognizes him.
I thought that was a sleigh race in Alaska, Adoniram.
No, that's Iditarod.
Oh, that's right.
Adoniram is actually in the Bible. People did really name their kids after names in the Bible.
Okay.
But I think they had to search for him. He was like a son of a elder somewhere. I looked it up. I was going like, yep, it's in there. I had to go to YouTube to find out how to pronounce it. I was going like, Adoniram.
Well,
that's right.
It was good and informational. And hey, if you like this show, give us a thumbs up and share it on your social media.
Love it.
So,
we are richly blessed to bring you what we believe is the fullest, most diverse, yet up-to-date progressive teachings, discussion, and prayer programming you can find anywhere on this planet. Be sure to take the tour of the MessianicLambRadio.com website. I'm Susan Hughey, thanking you for joining us on the Messianic Lamb Video Network. We are grateful you appreciate this radio station and the message it promotes about the true lifestyle of hope given in teachings and in songs of worship. Your humble donations will ensure the continuance of the message of hope to brethren worldwide by Messianic Lamb Radio.
Psalms 16, verse 11. You have made known to me the path of life. You will fill me with joy in your presence, with eternal pleasures at your right hand.